What is going on, Dragon Ball fans? Welcome back to another Dragon Ball fan manga review, where today we're going to be reviewing the fan manga entitled Dragon Ball X, which is a fan-made manga set to take place after the events of Dragon Ball GT, and for many years now I've been reviewing and looking over fan-made Dragon Ball concepts and mangas, so today we'll be diving into a brand new chapter of this manga, with the events of Dragon Ball X having to take place right after the events of Goku vs Omega Shenron, following the overusage of the Dragon Balls. And with this, we pick up Dragon Ball X chapter number 13, with the mysterious Saiyan who's been looking for Son Goku traveling throughout space and saying that energy comes from the direction where Kakarot is. It's incredible that I can feel it from here. That where may be where I'm heading. Never mind, I hope when I arrive, I can finally meet the most powerful warrior in the universe. With the Saiyan traveling throughout space, and then we pan over back to evil Goku, and we see how he's finally achieved Super Saiyan 5, with him saying, "This is great. You were right, Namekian, but now with this power, I'm not leaving without destroying the planet," with Piccolo saying, "Despicable Vegeta, one more time your excessive confidence puts the Earth in danger," in which case it did, with Vegeta saying, "Alright, you ate your seed, now tell me who you are and what you're doing here," with Goku saying, "Hey, calm down, you're not in a position to talk to me like that anymore. What is more is if I tell you all of that, I will lose the day, and I'm not planning to lose that much time," with Vegeta saying, "Wow, you're a quite special guy. Then tell me, why did you fuse with Kakarot?" And then Goku having to respond by saying, "To be honest, I don't need Goku to achieve my goals, but 1 year ago, I saw the chance to fuse with him and I took it," with Goku having to follow up by saying, "But let's finish this fight once and for all. I want to compensate the humiliation you made me pass through," with Vegeta having to spit right over his shoulder by saying, "It's a pity that you'll be left with that desire because I don't want to keep fighting with you," in which triggers Goku in saying, "What?" And then we also see how he says, "Haha, I knew you'd fear me now that my power has exceeded the limits. Well, in that case, I'll proceed with the destruction of this miserable planet," with everyone else behind Vegeta seemingly shocked on this idea that Vegeta pretty much gave up, and Vegeta says, "Think whatever you want, but this battle isn't over yet. Another will fight in my place. As you hear it, insect, I lost all interest for this battle." So Vegeta's telling Goku, "I have no desire to fight you anymore," oddly enough, with Goku having to say another, but those three are just scum, with Vegeta having to say, "I realize there are a lot of things that you still don't know," with Piccolo having to say, "What are you playing, Vegeta? Why don't you want to fight?" And then we get to see how Vegeta communicates with Goten telepathically and saying, Goten, I have to talk to you through telepathy," and then we see how Goten responds by saying, "Vegeta, why don't you want to fight anymore?" Goten's obviously worried, and we see Vegeta respond by saying, "Everything shows Kakarot sees his power diminished in that fusion, that's why my power overwhelms his." And then we get to see how Goten says, "How can you say that, Vegeta? That guy plans to destroy the Earth. Why aren't you going to do anything to stop him?" With Vegeta saying, "That's why, Goten, you will fight against him." And Goten saying, "Me? Impossible, Vegeta. I'm not even close to his power." With Vegeta having to respond by saying, "Listen, Goten, I am cutting his tail, but I need you to distract him for a moment because that'll be my only chance of stopping him," in which he also says once he hasn't got a tail, he'll lose the transformation and you'll be able to battle him, so attack with all you can and then I will tell you. And that's when Goten says that's right, without his tail he can't transform, but he's still able to use Super Saiyan 3, in which case he even says, "Even if he does so, you'll be able to beat him no problem. Anyway, I'll be here just in case you need me," with Goten replying by saying, "Alright, Vegeta, let's do it," and he charges right at Goku as a Super Saiyan 3, with Goku having to say, "Hey, will you stay there and do nothing?" with Vegeta saying, "Now, Goten." So we see Goten charge at Goku, with Goku having to say, "Oh, so you're gonna fight me?" And we see how Goten says, "Attack that tail, attack it now." We see how instantly Vegeta maneuvers behind Goku and saying, "Good, now this is the perfect moment," and he grabs Goku's tail just as Goten is rushing towards Goku. So Goku realizes that he's in trouble and saying, "Wait a second," and that's when Vegeta noticed, "Goten, don't touch it," insinuating that Goku had indeed launched the blast, with Goten having to move just as far away from the blast as he could, with Vegeta raising his hand over his head and cutting Goku's tail. But just before Vegeta was actually able to cut his tail off, Super Saiyan 5 Goku elbowed Vegeta so hard behind the neck, it caused Vegeta to stumble on over, drop down to the floor, and lose his transformation, which leaves Goten, Android 17, and Piccolo helpless, as we then see Goku Goku standing over his body and saying, "So, they wanted to remove my tail. I see. The tail is the key to my transformation. I will be much more careful about that." And we see how then he wraps his tail around his waist, and we see Goten saying, "Damn, why is Trunks being slow to come? If we fuse, we'll be able to beat him," with Piccolo having to say, "Goten, Trunks won't be able to show up because Goku killed him." And just as he said that, we see Goten's look, we see the look in his eyes, and he says, "What? Trunks is dead?" Seeing the pain in his eyes, with Goku having to say, "I knew that attack wouldn't trick you. It was a good decision not to use it against you. I told you, moron, you won't be able to defeat me, and now die." And he aims his hand right at Vegeta, with Goten having to be just incredibly triggered by the loss of his friend, and now having to see Vegeta defeated, with Goten having to say that's enough, and he erupts in this massive rage-like state to where he charges at Goku, and he begins to punch him in the face, kick him in the face. We see Goten actually attempting to stop Super Saiyan 5 Goku, even as a Super Saiyan 3, but to no avail, because at a certain point, Goten's transformation completely ran out, with Goku having to say "stupid," and then he punches Goten so hard in the chest that Goten goes flying, and then Goku says, "Your turn to die will come. Now it's time for that moron." And then all of a sudden, someone appears. Goku says, "Where did he go?" Because he noticed that all of a sudden Vegeta wasn't on the floor anymore, and then he noticed that Oob was there. Oob was there, Majuub of course, and then with Goku having to reply by saying, "Who is that?" And we see how Majuub carries Goten over to Piccolo, while looking at Goku, obviously enough, that was once his mentor. We end the chapter off with Goku having to stare down with, of course, Majuub. So Majuub and Goku are having a stare down as we close the chapter off, with both Super Saiyan 5 Goku and Majuub having to have a stare down. Now again, the overall detail of this manga chapter, I found it to be very entertaining, although I would have much loved to see Super Saiyan 5 Vegeta fight Super Saiyan 5 Goku a bit longer. For the most part, this definitely brings us on over to Dragon Ball X chapter number 14, as the North Kai and the Grand Kai are talking, with the Grand Kai saying, "No, North Kai, I never heard a thing about the origin of the Dragon Balls," with King Kai saying, "Thank you anyway for your valuable time, Grand Kai. I'll proceed to watch the battle as it flows. What happened with Vegeta?" And we pan back to our fighters, and we get to see how, Majuub is saying Goten is also unconscious. "Please, Mr. Piccolo, take him to a safer place together with Mr. Vegeta." And as Oob says, "By the way, why does Master Goku's ki feel evil?" With Piccolo having to say, "It seems like Goku fused with an evil being who now only thinks about destroying Earth," with Majuub saying, "I see." And we see how there are a lot of people knocked out on the floor, which includes Gohan, Vegeta, Goten, and Pan, with Piccolo saying they'll all be safe. "I already understood it, and it was a great plan, Vegeta, but not even someone as clever as you could have imagined that guy to still use that technique," in which Piccolo follows up by saying, "Now let's hope the years of training of Oob actually pays off. Goku prepared him especially for a situation like that. Even if no one would have guessed it, it should be this way, as Oob should be the one to fight." So Oob is slowly approaching, Goku, and now we have a stare down between Goku and Majuub. I want to call it Majuub, especially after the events that have followed with GT, with Majin Buu fusing with Oob saying, "I hope King Kai finds a solution soon." And we see Goku talking about fighting again, how annoying, and we see how Oob says, "Are you ready?" with Goku saying, "What an enthusiast you are, little brat." And then we get to have Super Saiyan 5 Goku and Majuub actually have like this epic fight, as Majuub charges at Goku, with Goku having to have, no desire and pleasure of having to fight this dude, because his ultimate goal is to destroy the world, with Goku having to say, "You're no match for me." But just as quickly as it happened, we also get to see how something's wrong with Goku. He says, "That punch really did hurt me that badly," and it looks like Oob actually has the advantage, given that Goku is a little hurt. But of course, Goku says, "You're trash," and he begins to brawl all out with Oob, and Goku even, is a little bit surprised by this, because he sees that Oob is able to keep up, with Piccolo having to say, "Wow, Oob is really fast, but will he have enough strength to actually face him?" And we get to see how finally the Supreme Kai brings the Elder Kai some coffee, and we see how the Elder Kai spazzes out and saying, "Idiots, why did you take so much time?" And then the Elder Kai says, "If it wasn't for Oob and Goten, Vegeta would have already been dead, so you have to thank Oob for that." And we pan back to Oob versus Goku, and this seems to be a very epic battle, but Oob actually is holding his own against Super Saiyan 5 Goku, and I don't know how many people would feel about that, but of course, depicted in this manga chapter, Oob seems to be holding his own, as Oob then says, "What's the matter with you? Why are you not fighting seriously?" with Goku having to say, "Right, but I don't need to use my full power to beat you, brat," with Oob having to say how weird. It is true that he's not using all of his power, but his moves are pretty predictable. If his transformation is the same as Master Vegeta's, then why are his moves so different in speed and accuracy, or could I have just read wrongly from Mr. Vegeta's moves? So we see how Oob later on is scenting Goku, and he says, ah, I see, that's it. And he points his hand out on Goku, and we see something happening to Goku. Goku says, what? I don't feel any pain anymore. What did you just do? With Oob having to say, I healed your abdominal pain. That way you'll be able to fight without a nuisance. I don't want any advantage in this battle. So he pretty much healed Goku. He realized that the punch that Goku had in his gut was hurting him prior to this battle, and Oob having to heal him, he wanted a fair fight, which again, I think is pretty dumb if you want to fight someone who's threatening to kill the world and destroy the entire planet, of course. But Goku says he healed me. How does he have that ability? With Oob having to say, how didn't I notice it earlier? I mean, the presence of that kid shows that he is a union of bodies and he may be merged with a Namek. And just as he said that, we see how Goku says, I'm going to decimate him and see who's hiding within that body, because he wants to figure out as to how Oob was able to heal him. And then we see how Goku sticks his hands out and uses something to separate Majuub from Oob himself. And even while using this technique, something happens to Oob and it causes this split. So we end off the manga chapter with Goku having to split Majin Buu from Oob's body, so they're no longer fused, which is insane because we never really thought that Goku would have this ability. But of course, Majuub actually called it to say that, you know, something's up with Goku, and it's a possibility that a Namek may have fused with Goku, and which explains a lot of Goku's personality and his assumptions. So obviously enough, this entire manga chapter is centered around Goku having to hold back because of the injury to his abs, and of course Oob having to heal him. But even though he did that, so far we saw two characters that allowed Goku to pretty much walk away free, with Vegeta allowing Goku to eat the beans and Majuub having to heal his wound, which again goes to show that these characters are very gullible. Either way, Super Saiyan 5 Goku was able to contend against Majuub until the actual split. So post your comments down below, guys. What are your overall thoughts on Majuub fighting Super Saiyan 5 Goku? What are your overall thoughts on Goku possibly being fused with some sort of a Namek? And what are your overall thoughts on Goku having to split Oob and Majin Buu from their bodies? Thank you guys for watching. As always, if you guys are Dragon Ball fans, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That way you guys are always up to date with all latest in Dragon Ball news, information, and updates alongside discussions. If you guys love Dragon Ball, don't forget to go ahead and slap a like on this video. Tune back in for more, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys down in the comment section below. Take it easy, guys. Peace.